All right. Says I'm live. If you guys can hear me, please let me know. We will get this started. I apologize for having to push it back, but we're going to blame MLB Lock today, especially with the Brewers. They just had their lineup get changed up a little bit. So I had to do a couple things, but we are finally here for this race at Gateway. Looking forward to it. I don't think it's going to be that exciting, to be honest, but it's a race nonetheless, and it looks like we're going to get the full race in. Very unfortunate last week, which happened at the Coke 600. I'm still a little salty over it. Really wanted that to play out, because I thought some things would end up going my way, but unfortunately, we didn't get that opportunity. Got it loud and clear from Andre. Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, this race at Gateway, not expecting much to happen. I think it's going to be quite boring. Maybe I'll be surprised, but honestly, boring races are typically better. You know, it's just a flatter track, and we know in the next-gen car, it's really hard to pass at these types of tracks, so we will see what ends up happening. I also think this slate sets up pretty good for tournaments, and really just in general, because I feel like for as long as I can remember this season, we've had some very obvious chalk plays. While there is chalk on this slate, just somebody has to be chalk. I don't think there's like any obnoxious, like Chris Buescher starting in 39th. We have to play him unless he wrecks. He's going to be optimal and things like that. It's kind of really just spread out today, which I do kind of like, just because you can get some low ownership on guys that probably shouldn't be as low owned as they should be. All right, so let me get my sheet popped up right here, and we will get going. I think lock on DraftKings is at 345 today, 340, and then FanDuel is at 330. So I have not yet built. I have a good idea of what I'm going to do, but you guys know me. I like to wait to the last second because I don't want to tinker with my lineups. I want to build, and then that's what it is. I don't want to jump off the potential nuts. All right. Let me go to the top here, and I'll get any question in you guys have, time permitting, which should be good. And I got a dono here up top from man Chris Jenkins. As always, I really do appreciate that. He says, what do you think about a 3 studs, 2 duds, and someone in between build? I'm not really sure I want to go 3 studs today, because let's keep in mind, there's like only 240 laps, so there's not that many dominator points to go around. So I think if you mean studs as in the 5-figure range, 10K guys and up, I would say 2 is fine. I don't think you need to go to 3. I just think there's enough dominator points to go around where that's going to be necessary, especially when you have some of these guys in the 8 and 9K range that can also be potential dominators. And even in the 6K range today, you have Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, who quite honestly could lead some laps today. So I really don't think 3 studs is the best way to go. And looking at some of the optimal builds for me, I don't really have that coming up. I have 2 10K guys pop up a lot, because I do think Bell, Blaney, and Denny Hamlin are very likely to dominate at some point in this race. Also have Truex kind of lagging behind. Then you have Joey Logano and Ty Gibbs kind of usually being that third driver in. So I am not a big fan of the 3 stud build for a race that just doesn't have that many laps to it. And as I usually do recently, I want to kind of go over like what projections liked afterwards, because I always go in on the preview video just kind of blind, because it's right after practice and qualifying. But it shouldn't be any surprise, like for the early dominators, excluding Michael McDowell and Austin Cindric, like from the big dogs, Hamlin, Blaney, Christopher Bell, those are guys I'm really building around that can lead laps today. Not getting to Kyle Larson or William Byron really at all. It's just based off what we saw in practice. It doesn't look like they're going to have the best cars, and you can't play everybody, so kind of excluding them. And then Martin Truex Jr., I am getting to if I'm not using 2 guys up front, because at similar tracks this year, Phoenix and Richmond, and this tire combination and what we've seen so far this year, Truex should be strong in this race. I just think the dominator potential is not going to be as high, so I think he can kind of slot into 45, 55 points just based off of that. Unless he gets up front, he's not going to have that ceiling that the other 3 that are starting closer to the front are going to have today. And then Tyler Reddick, Brett Keselowski, those are like your second tier potential dominators. I'm going to get to them a little bit in tournaments, but not going to be cash game plays. Love Joey Logano today. I think he is one of the top plays on the board, and I would not be surprised if he is top 3 in ownership. 8K range, I will be getting to a lot of Ty Gibbs today. Love the speed I saw, and he's been fine at these types of tracks. And then Ross Chastain is not someone I think I talked up a ton in the preview video, but I am actually getting to him quite a bit. I like the speed we saw in practice. He's starting in 16th. He's only $8,200. He's pretty good at Phoenix, and he showed top 10 speed across the board. And at his price range, he's actually popping up into some lineups, especially over on FanDuel. So I did rise a bit on Ross Chastain. And while I do like Chris Buescher, Didn't show as much speed. I mean, he's got decent place differential upside. I think he'll be fine at the end of the day, but I do think he might go a little bit over-owned. 7K range, Josh Berry for me. Kind of lower on everybody else. Don't mind Noah Gregson. 6K range. We actually have a lot of good plays in the 6K range. Michael McDowell. So after I actually got to run projections and see how he shaked out, because I wasn't exactly sure what we should do with him. I do think he is cash game viable today. My exact Michael McDowell projection is 30.84 points, which is 4.74x, which is not bad at his price point. I gave him an 11.3 projected finish, so I do have him moving back. I gave him around 13 laps sled, which I do think there's room for more. There's also room for less. I thought that was a kind of a fair place to end up on, and then obviously I had to give him some fast laps. That's not a bad day. Like, he doesn't have to crush. He's $6,500. If he can get you 30 points, you'll be happy with that. And there's obviously a much higher ceiling. And practice across the board was top 10. Gonna have the best pit stall. So I mean, Michael McDowell does make sense today. And then Gillen, his teammate, should have speed, 35th. And by speed, I mean should be a top 30 car for where he's starting. And then Daniel Suarez, I don't mind getting to. So it's kind of like a quick rundown of just some of the plays that I think will be like the main player pool for me today. Obviously, some other guys are gonna pop in for tournaments. But let me get into the questions here. I got Dan up top. Says, what are the core plays on FanDuel today? Optimal lineup on FanDuel. It's going to be a lot of overlap today for FanDuel and DraftKings. The guys that pop the best for me on FanDuel are Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney right now. They're both too cheap. Based off the practice speeds we saw, Blaney's only 10.5 over there, and Joey Logano's only $9,000. And then Truex, Hamlin, Gibbs also popping up quite a bit over there. The optimal on FanDuel for me, it's kind of weird. It's Hamlin, Blaney, Gibbs, Joey Logano, and then Daniel Suarez. Not sure if I'm going to play that one as my main. I don't really think I want to trust Suarez for the main build, so we will see. I kind of like the guys with track position today, to be honest, because I just don't think passing is going to be that easy. Obviously, some guys are going to be able to move up a little bit, but I definitely have my concerns. Or I apologize, that was not my optimal on FanDuel. That was my fourth. I had it down a row. The optimal on FanDuel for me is Truex, Blaney, Gibbs, Logano, and then Josh Berry. And I do believe in Josh Berry a little bit more than Daniel Suarez today over on FanDuel. Daniel says, top drivers to win the race. Projected finish for me, I have Denny Hamlin 1, Ryan Blaney 2, Bell 3, Logano 4, and Reddick 5. And the only bet I made post-practice and qualifying was Christopher Bell to win afterwards. And I think you can get him at 850 right now. I do like that number. Other than that, I did not show value on anything. What's up, Sean? What's the optimal lineup on FanDuel? I already answered that one, but what's the optimal on DraftKings? For me, it's right now it's Blaney, Bell, Gibbs, Berry, Suarez, and McDowell. That's 4 guys inside the top 10, then 2 place differential plays, which I think makes sense. But I basically have all within almost a tie of Blaney, Bell, and Hamlin. So really any combination of those two I think is perfectly fine. What's up, Ryan? For single entry, he has a core of Joey Logano, Blaney, Truex, and Zane Smith. Was either going with Jones and Suarez or Berry, Gillen, and McDowell. Zane Smith as a core is interesting. I mean, he should be able to move up and he is cheap, but I don't think I could personally have him in a core of mine. But I would probably say Gillen, McDowell of that group looks pretty good. I mean, if I don't really like Jones today. I don't like the speed I saw, and he qualified kind of high. So if I had to rank them, I'd probably have that Berry, McDowell, Suarez, Gillen, I guess. They're all very close, though. What's up, Andy? What's up, Clint? Happy race day. Let's go 100% Larson. I know you're joking, but I am not. I'm not with the Larson train today. Although earlier in the week, I did make a bet on Kyle Larson to win at plus 700 because I like the number and it showed value, and obviously I hate it right now. So that is my hedge today. I am not playing Larson in DFS. Maybe at a 150, I'll get to like less than 10%. But hand builds, I will not have him. So if he wins, just know my DFS lineups did terrible, but I do have a hedge on him to win. But I hate the bet right now. Absolutely hate it. Got done it from a man, Gib. Appreciate that. Says, good morning, nerd dork. Can I get some single entry talent? I'm going to bust it wide open for the boys today. Yeah, for single entry today, I would choose 2 of Blaney, Bell, Hamlin. I choose 2 of those guys. And then I'm probably getting the Ty Gibbs. And if we need a place differential play, Suarez or Berry. somewhere around there. We can talk about it more in Discord. I mull over it a little bit, but that would be my starting point at the very least. What's up, Johnny T? What are your favorite must plays for cash over on FanDuel? Any must plays? Thanks for all you do. I guess more overlap when I talked about earlier, but I mean, Blaney and Logano, I just love the price points over on FanDuel, so I'll definitely have a lot of them over there. And I do think Truex is probably a better play on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings today, just because the Dominator points are just not going to stack up as much. So Truex doesn't really need Dominator points over on FanDuel to make that work out. If he can sneak inside the top 8, I mean, that's perfectly fine starting at 19th. On DraftKings, you're going to need fast laps, and maybe you'll need some laps led depending on how the other guys do up front. What's up, Lita Man? 6.5 minutes late, Chris. I think I hit the under today. We were pretty well. I pushed it back 15 minutes, but if you want to count 130, then yeah, we hit the under. What's up, Spreader? What's up, Jill? Answer that one. What's up, James? His last man in for a DraftKings GPP, Bubba or Ross. I'll go with Chastain there. You get extra PD, and I feel like they can finish probably pretty close to each other by the end of the day. What's up, Mom? Says happy race day, everyone. Good luck all. Let's get it, Joey. Yeah, this is one of those weeks where I can get with Joey, so we'll be rooting for your driver today. What's up, C. Mitch? 3 Max. Who are your main 3 to build around, and who's your 1 sleeper? Happy race day, folks. Let's get it. I mean, if we're just talking about guys up top, Blaney, Hamlin, and Christopher Bell are the most likely dominators. I like Ty Gibbs in the middle for tournaments. And, I mean, one guy to get weird with today, if you're doing 3 lineups, I wouldn't hate getting to like a Tyler Reddick, maybe in one of those. I don't think a lot of people will go that route, but I think Reddick does make some sense there. And Ross Chastain is another guy you can get weird with. What's up, Stan? Can we get a wellness check on CP? I'm here. I'm alive. Is McDowell optimal on DraftKings for the price? I think it's quite possible. Michael McDowell, only $6,500. He's on the pole. At this, I mean, he's basically in a Penske car. I mean, obviously he's not as good as Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, driver talent wise, but like he's basically in a Penske car at $6,500. He's on the pole. If he can just lead 20 laps and finish top 10, that's not a bad day at all. I mean, you do not need that much out of McDowell to work out, and there's a lot of upside in there too. Like if he just led stage 1, which is what, like 40 laps, and just hangs around, like that is a great day at his price point. Kind of reminds me of like Ryan Preece in Martinsville. It was like last year, the year before that, where he was on the pole. He's like in the 6K range. All he has to do is lead some stage 1 and just not screw up, which I believe he did screw up. He led the laps, then he ended up getting a penalty, but he still had a really good day. Obviously, Martinsville's a little bit different because you can rack up the laps a lot quicker there, but it just kind of reminds me of that situation. Any interest in Cindric? A little bit. I have him projected for 26-ish points. McDowell I have around 31, so he's kind of a take below that. I'm not sure if I want to play both together, but if I had to pick between the two, I'd go with McDowell. Sam asks if Keselowski is a sleeper today. He always sucks in practice, but 13th would probably mean he'd be one of the top, considering last week he was in the 30s for practice. Yeah, Brad's one of those guys where, I don't know, practice just doesn't really seem to matter much for him. So I think I don't think Brad leads today, but at the same time, track position is going to be so important. If he just doesn't make many mistakes or make any mistakes, he should just kind of stick it within the top 8 today. Get some fast laps here and there. I mean, how good he's been on long runs so far this year, just managing his tires, which we'll have to see how much that's going to matter today. But, I mean, if I'm playing one lineup, I'm not playing Brad. If I'm playing 3, it's fringe. He's more of like a 20 max kind of play for me. It's actually exactly what I was doing, Mom. Tevin Terrell says, who would be your top 2 or 3 doms on DraftKings? Yeah, Blaney, Hamlin, Bell, I think are the most likely guys that are going to lead laps today. And then I think Joey Logano and Truex could also, they're kind of like the hybrids where they can move their way for like stage 2, stage 3 potential. Yes, right on the dot. Not too bad today. Morning, afternoon, Astro Face. Hair checks out, says Jason. Quan says, who do you have winning? I believe I have Hamlin projected as the winner today, which he is the favorite, so no surprise there. And then I think it's actually right in order of the Vegas odds too. It's Hamlin, Blaney, Bell for me. What's up, Rick? Happy race day. We going full Ford stacks today. I would definitely have my fair share of Fords. I mean, you can play McDowell, Blaney, Slowski, Joey Logano. You want to get weird, you can play Cindric. So yeah, I mean, Ford's definitely makes sense today. What's up, D Pope? He said he had 2 GBP UFC takedowns at $5,500. Well, that's awesome. Happy for you, Pope. Congratulations. Hopefully you can keep the good times rolling today as well. Easy says, Joey win for me and Mama P. Only for my mom, Easy. You don't count. Zeb says, I always tinker myself out of the money. Yeah, like for every single sport I play, I don't build until like as late as possible. And I'm entering my lineups just a few minutes before lock because I don't want to change off anything. Like I just want my final thoughts in there and that's it. Like I don't want to build a lineup and then I'm thinking all day like, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? Then after the race, I'm like, well, what if I would have listened to myself and did that? No, I did what I do. It locks. I have no opportunity to second guess myself. What's up, Pugsley? How much Haley you playing? 5,700 seems fair. I don't really think I'm going to have too much Haley today. Optimal rate was around, let me check. Only like around 3 to 6%. The guys down low in the 5K range that were showing optimal more, it would be Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek, and Carson Hocevar. So he's right below those guys. So it wasn't really popping up a ton. I know he's been good this year, but it's like the other guy's better. Do I have any rules today? If you are building an optimizer, the only thing I would have set is a rule for dominators. You want at least 2 for your builds. And it's the guys you'd expect. It's Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, Truex, Logano, Reddick, Gibbs, Keselowski. Probably my dominator pool right there. Oh, and then Michael McDowell. And you can throw in Austin Cindric if you want, but feels weird having McDowell in the dominator pool, but that's the world we are living in today. Ewok. Oh, I'm sure this is going to be a Josh Bilicki comment. It says, did you know you could travel by boat from Josh Bilicki's hometown in Wisconsin to the racetrack? It would take a while, but you can do it. I'm just impressed you keep coming up with Josh Bilicki content, to be honest. You're the only person in the world that I'm sure is doing it, but if he's out there somewhere, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Who's the Chucky's play? Chucky's play? Is that like the cheap play? Not 100% sure. I'm gonna say the cheap plays with the Chucky's plays. I would say probably Michael McDowell for the 6K range would be the cheap play. Todd Gilliland, 5K range, either Hocevar or Zane Smith. Nemechek. If I had to pick one guy in the 5K range, for me it's Hocevar. Pugsley says he went Hamlin, Truex, Busher, Bowman, Gilly, and Smith and Turney's. Bowman will keep you different. Can't imagine really anyone's gonna play him today. But I like the 2 doms you got. Chris Bush should move up, like Gillen. Zane Smith's gross, but he should be able to move up a little bit. Does Bowman, Busher, Logano, and Barry, are there 2 guys I have are the same as above? I would definitely rather have Logano and Barry there. I mean, Logano's got race-winning speed, and then Josh Berry, I think, should be able to contend for a top 15. What's up, Noah? Says Larson, Byron Stack, and GBP, no other reason besides buying talent and low ownership. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, obviously, anything you look at on paper today would say not to play them, but there is the possibility with them practicing in cooler conditions. There was also cloud cover. I did not check the weather again today, but when I looked yesterday, it was supposed to be warmer and sunny out. Yeah, right now it's 81 at the track, Madison, Illinois. Around race time, it's going to be 84, and it looks like mostly sunny. So maybe they're set up better for a track like that. I mean, obviously, they don't have exact track position, but that is a possibility. Chris Busher says 26, not 39. Oh, I was just saying an example like from a couple weeks ago. Like I was saying, there's not like an obvious, oh, I have to play this guy. Like Busher, well, I don't know which race it was. Was it Texas? Darlington? I think it was Darlington. Chris Busher started 39th, and I mean, you just had to play him. But we don't have a guy like that this week. If I have $6,050 left for 2, who would you recommend GPP? Ooh, 6,500 left. Probably like a host of. Trying to do the math in my head for things to work. Maybe like a Like a Michael McDowell and Nemechek might work, or McDowell and Zane Smith might work price wise, I think. What's up, Dimitri? Nice of you to be here. What's up, Max's thoughts on Elliott? Just Stan says any interest in Elliott. I don't. Projections don't like Chase Elliott. Starting in 17th, they just didn't really show any speed at all. 18th, 31st, 26th, and 19th. If you're looking at this data set for Chase Elliott, kind of like a guy that runs 10th, 15th, which is okay. But I just think there's more upside with Joey Logano today. If I am playing Chase Elliott today, it would be on FanDuel. I don't really want to spend $9,000 for him on DraftKings today. Elliott and Gillen or Logano and Cindric? I guess Logano and Cindric there. It was weird seeing Cindric though. Busher, Elliott on FanDuel. I will take Chris Busher. I believe I have him projected a little bit better over there. I got Busher for 62.48, and I got Elliott for 60.72. So about a 2-point advantage in Busher's favor. Manny says hit the like. I would appreciate that. Thoughts on Rowdy for 100? Like if you're building 150? Yeah, Rowdy makes sense if you're doing 150 lineups. I would say I have him optimal around 20% of the time, I think. 15-20% of the time. I am showing negative leverage on him, but I think anywhere in that range would be fine for Busch. I mean, obviously he's been great here the previous 2 races, finished second and first. Not sure he's going to do that again today, but he has been good. What's up, Dan? It's been a while. Happy Sunday, all. I'm shocked so few likes. Hit the like for our buddy Chris. I'd appreciate that. It goes a long way. Truex Blaney Bell stack. I don't really like the 310K guys today. Because let's just keep in mind, there's not that many laps. And if Blaney and Bell dominate the race, which is what you need in that scenario, Truex is probably not getting any downer points. And then you're spending $10,500 for a guy to get, if I take away his down points, 45, 47 points. Unless he finishes like third, then you're getting close to 60 maybe with some fast laps. But I don't like the 310K build too much. I would say if you're going that route, Blaney and Bell, maybe Joey would make more sense. Because you're saving about $1,500 with a guy that's pretty much the same play. Larson or Blaney? I go with Blaney. Just looks like he's got a better car overall, and this is a great track for him. What's up, Neil? Says, who's your cheapest driver? Let's make some money. Cheapest driver I would play today? Probably Zane Smith would be the cheapest one I could get to. Just because he's starting last. I do not expect Zane Smith to do much. But, I mean, if you're just trying to get multiple dominators, maybe a few guys fall out of the race. He gets 31st. Whatever. Suarez or Gilland? Good question. I have Suarez a little bit higher. Focusing on Dobbs or place differential, not that many laps today. Yeah, not too many laps, but you're going to need a mixture. Plus, I don't really think it's going to be that easy to pass here. So, I mean, dominators should be your focus, and then just guys that you think have good finish potential. So, I mean, for me, I already talked about the guys that I'd be building around, and then getting a couple place differential plays in the end is fine. But it's definitely not a focus on place differential race. I mean, I feel like if it's going to be like Phoenix, I mean, just no one was, unless your name was Ryan Blaney or Christopher Bell, no one was moving in that race. You were just stuck. And the field did flip at one point. And really the only guys once the field flipped, because I know Chase Elliott was running top 5 all day. Pretty sure I'm not getting my races confused. Chase Elliott was running top 5 all day. He ends up getting, him and William Byron, they end up getting put in the rank around 20th, and they just don't move anymore. And the only guys that could pass were Bell and Blaney. So just I feel like that's how this race could probably end up going out, where everyone's just kind of stuck where they are. Maybe besides a couple guys that just have a lot of speed. How am I feeling on Bubba today? Not a huge fan. If I am playing Bubba today, it would be on FanDuel. DraftKings is kind of tough to get there at his price point, where he's starting in 8th. Just don't really see him moving up much. Probably moves back a couple of spots. So, David, I got Blaney, Hamlin, Barry, Chastain, Hocevar, and McDowell. Thoughts? I think that's a really good lineup. I love Blaney and Hamlin up top. McDowell is also a potential dominator for how cheap he is. Chastain makes a lot of sense in tournaments. And then Barry and Hocevar, yeah, looks good. What's up, Mundo? Would I stack Team Penske? I certainly think you can. you don't have to use Cindric in that, but I mean, Blaney and Logano are just two of the best plays on the slate, at least on paper. I busted out the Blaney shirt today, so figured it could be a good Blaney day. I'm just gonna check Bob's Twitter really quick. I have not seen yet if there's any drivers to the rear or not. I know they were talking about Truex potentially, but it sounds like he's gonna be good. But last I saw, Bob did not tweet anybody to the rear yet. I don't really know who would be going to the rear anyway. Nope, not seeing nothing. Okay, the first stage is 45 laps, not 40, but then it's 95 and 100, 10 sets, fuels around 72, 78 laps. All right, let's see. Yeah, shout out to Pope. That's a great UFC hit. Kid says, William Byron Chase, I like either of these. BRB didn't realize I was logged in to the kids account. Yeah, just straight up says kids. I am not really going to be playing William Byron Chase today. You just got to take stances somewhere, and those are the ones I am just not really getting to. 2 out of 4 for McDowell for me today. Oh, yeah. What's up, Sean? Yeah, that's probably where I'd go as well if I had 4. Probably 2 out of 4 for him. Like, he does not need to do too much to hit value today. And he's going up against guys like Ryan Priest, Gilland, Stenhouse, Cindric. I don't think it's going to take too much to beat those guys out. And obviously, he had some of the best speed overall in that price range. Answered that one about Bubba. Bubba's just in a weird spot. I'd rather play Chastain personally. Get him double the spots. Starting position 16th. And their speed looks very similar overall if you're looking at the speed chart. So I'll just take the guy in 16th instead. And he says, any chance the race gets called for humidity at halfway point? That was so annoying. So annoying. Obviously, that race didn't go how I wanted it to. But, I mean, Denny said the track was, 11:30, they were all listening to his podcast the other day, and they said they were all expecting to go back racing. Guys were having coffee. Him and his crew chief were going over strategy and how they're going to play it out, how the track's going to change, and it was dry by like around midnight. Just very annoying they didn't get it back started. Humidity thing was very, very dumb overall. Very disappointing weekend. Obviously, we didn't get to see Kyle Larson, that storyline play out, which I think we all wanted to see. So, just an unfortunate situation. What's up, Dwayne? Says, hey, Chris, good luck today. Good luck to you as well. Do you like McDowell, Logano, Hamlin, Gregson, Chastain, Barry, or DraftKings single entry? I do. You have Hamlin as a potential dom. McDowell's in the pool. Logano should be able to move up a little bit. Gregson, Barry for place differential. Then Ross is kind of that in the middle tournament play. So I think that's perfect for a single entry. I think that's a good build. I'm potentially going to play Ross in my main FanDuel lineup, but I'm not sure yet. I was looking at some builds. Like this one uses all the salary on FanDuel. It's my second highest optimal. Truex, Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain. Like all of those guys have top 10 finish potential, and some of them with a little bit of PD. So I got to figure out what I want to do still, but you can make some fun lineups on FanDuel today, I think. What's up, Michael? No question. Just saying hi and thanks, CPen, for the best NASCAR DFS content. Let's get verse today and go Brew Crew. Appreciate that, Mike. Oh, that must be Mike B. All right. Nice to have you here, sir. And yes, I could use some brewers today, especially Freddie Peralta. They kick off in about 8 minutes, so hopefully they don't do too bad. I got them littered around. For sure. Clint's on his 18th crunch. Oh my goodness. I mean, if you're doing the 150s, I always do a ton of crunches as well. It's just so hard to get that exactly how you want. But it looks like on FanDuel, I'll be building around Logano, Blaney, Truex, Hamlin, Gibbs, And Josh Berry looks like he's popping up quite a bit as the last guy in, him and Ross Chastain. Just because he's so cheap. If the bum drivers, then a lot of people ask me if they're going to play like cheap plays on FanDuel. I don't typically do that. But it does look like Todd Gilliland is popping a little bit as far as like one of those sub 5K drivers. Other than that, no one else really. I think Gregson is $7,000. So I kind of find myself in that $7,000 to $8,000 range a lot for the last fit on FanDuel, unless it's Daniel Suarez with 62. Sean says he played Warzone until 3 a.m. and missed the FanDuel 333 contest by sleeping in. Well, we got to get up earlier, Sean. Although I was up till 3 as well, but I got up early. The contests on FanDuel, just they fill too quick. They got to really up those sizes. Like I see they just opened up a new slingshot. 7 max. But yeah, I mean FanDuel, they even cut some of their contests after I forget which race it was. I think it might have been after Darlington or something, but they cut the size of the $50 single entry. They took away the $15 3 max. That's now a 2 max. Which I don't get because everything fills and they just don't adjust it. They only adjust it down. Kind of dumb. All right, Doug says, do you think Ware, Krause, Burton, Hemrick, Smith, and Nemechek to be optimal? No. I would say there's a 0.0001% chance that would be possible today. I think a meteor would have to hit the track and they'd be the only 6 drivers left. What's up, T-Phil? Says, what's up, Chris? How's the chalk looking today? Yeah, I think the chalk, the highest owned drivers, most likely to be Logano, Blaney, McDowell. I think Buescher will be up there. Daniel Suarez. Bell, I think that'll be like the chalk. But I do think Logano, Blaney, McDowell will probably be 3 of the highest owned drivers. Although some of the ownership this year is definitely threw me off a bit. Like there's always like a couple of guys that are just like either way higher than I expected to be or just way lower, which is odd because usually I feel like I'm right on that. But some of these guys are just, I don't know if they're getting pushed somewhere and I'm just not recognizing it, but their ownership will be like insane. And like I remember a few weeks ago, I mean, Denny Hamlin like should have been like the best play on the site. He was only like 15% owned for some reason. I thought he was going to be like 25. I mean, it might have been Dover or something. I don't know. The ownership's been a little weird this year. I don't know if it's because of the Sims out there now or what. Stenhouse, Gilliland, or Hocevar. I would have to go with Todd Gilliland there, just starting in 35th. I'd say he's got the best floor of the bunch, and projection-wise, I like him the best. I gave Gilliland 25th, 25.85 projected finish, equates to 28.5 points, 4.45x. That is the best of that group. Any interest in Suarez? Yeah, just because of the price point. I mean, he should be able to move up. He practiced around 20th place. I think he'll be a top 25 car. I don't think Suarez is going to be a world beater out there. Looks like his teammate Ross Chastain has speed, although as we've seen this year, I mean, Ross is just typically going to outrun Suarez. For whatever reason, he's just really lacking this year. But he does project decent. I got him for 33.3 points, 21.35 projected finish. Not a bad day. I do prefer Barry just a little bit more, but pretty interchangeable. What's up, Avery? There's no questions today. Just want to say thanks. Started off clueless about NASCAR DFS. Now it's my most profitable sport. Well, that's awesome to hear. Extremely fun. And a lot of people just got into it during COVID, and a lot of you have stuck around, which is awesome. When I first started doing these videos before COVID, like, obviously didn't have as much traction. So I guess we kind of got lucky with COVID, where a lot of people got into NASCAR. Those were some really good times, but glad to hear that. That's awesome. And hopefully the good times will keep rolling for you. Noah says he has Haley, Gillen for my GVP punts. Thoughts on other options? Haley's in a bit of a tough spot. I do like Gilland. I think Hocevar probably has a little bit more speed than Justin Haley this week. We're looking at the overall laps here. Haley was 11th in the one lap, but then 24th, 23rd, 16th. Meanwhile, Hocevar was 12th, and then 14th, 10th, 8th. So it looks like he's got a bit of a faster car. Only starts one spot further up. So I'd have a slight lean towards Hocevar over Haley, just based off of speed we saw. So it says on FanDuel she has Hamlin, Logano, Blaney, Bell, and Smith. Isn't that good? For me personally, I don't like using those just bottom feeders on FanDuel, because we need guys that can finish high. Like a guy starting in the back on FanDuel, like a Chris Buescher, if he was starting 30th, like, yeah, these guys can move up. They're fine because they can still contend for top 15, top 10 finishes. Zane Smith, we're lucky if he gets out of 32nd most weeks. So for me, like, yes, everything else is loaded, but I don't like using those bottom feeders on FanDuel. Because while I know his practice speeds were 21st, 15th, 13th, which are pretty good, that track was just still going to kill him. Like, he's just not going to be able to move up like that. Who's your favorite outfit winner? Outfit winner? I don't get it. My favorite outfit winner. Oh, outright. I thought you were making a joke. The only one I have value on right now would be Christopher Bell. You can get him at 850. I have him fared just below that. So that's like the only outright I would make. And I always tell people when I say I make an outright bet, I'm not fully expecting them to win. I have Christopher Bell winning like roughly 10.6% of the time, but the books have him like winning 10.5% of the time. So that's like a slight value. I do have Hamlin projected as the winner today, then Blaney, but I just think their odds aren't where they should be. Got a donor from Brandon Roberts. I appreciate that. Says in DFS, I got Buescher, Byron, Gibbs, Logano, Suarez, and Gilland. I want a 2-week positive streak, hoping to keep it going. Well, hopefully you keep it rolling, Brandon. Personally, for me, I am not really playing Byron today, but I love the rest. The rest looks really good. But I wish you the best, and thank you for the dono, sir. Heavy on FanDuel or DraftKings today? Personally, I like building on FanDuel more. You don't usually have to get to these scrub drivers, but it's personal preference. Both sites have their positives. I'm like Blaney over Larson. For me, yes. I mean, just based off what we saw in practice, Blaney has one of the best cars in the field. Second, third, and first in the 1 through 15 lap runs. And if we're looking at Kyle Larson, while I don't think he's going to be borderline top 25, 24th, 17th, and 25th. He qualified 13th. I think he's a guy that can run top 10, but is he going to have absolute top tier speed to dominate? I would say that's unlikely today. And at $11,000, you need like a top tier car, which it does not, like on paper, it does not look like he has that. And Hendrick hasn't exactly been amazing at Gateway either anyway. Kind of been the Penske cars and Toyota. And Kyle Busch, obviously. Thoughts on Austin Cindric? I think he's like the worst version of Michael McDowell today. So if I had to pick between the two, I'll go with McDowell. I have Cindric projected for around 25, 26 points, so it's not like he's junk. But I'm not really sure I want to play 1-2. Then I'm going to have a lot of Blaney's. I don't want to play 1-2-3. I don't have a lot of Bell. And I like to have a lot of Hamlins. I'm not sure I want to play the entire top 6. 10 lineups, 23 is in my player pool. That's fine. You kind of gutted out close to half of the field. About 13 drivers. Third of the field, something like that. That's fine. Crap Savage says DraftKings is better. I think they do the Dominator points better. FanDuel, you don't get rewarded for fast laps. Although the thing is, sometimes it's annoying. Like these guys will just get off sequence and then like a slow car just starts ripping fast laps and it gives them like a 10-point cushion just because he got pit off sequence because of an issue. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes it works in your favor, you know. It's hit or miss. Mr. Pillow Pants says if I feel like if I don't play Bell, he'll go off simply because I haven't played him once this year. Bell's not a guy I play a lot. I didn't play him last week. Obviously, that didn't work out too well, which is one of the reasons I wanted the race to resume because I assumed something was going to change and he wouldn't just win the race at that point. I believe we played Bell at Phoenix, I'm pretty sure, in Richmond. I feel like those are the races we played him at this year, which you played him at Phoenix and Richmond. You probably want to play him here at Gateway. I think there's going to be some similarities there. But yeah, Bell he's a weird guy. He does not really dominate many races. When he does, he can kick butt, but not a guy that I play a lot. I will have him this week. Bob says, how many points you project Gilly starting the way back? About 28.5 points. I got him finishing around 25th, so getting about 10 spots. Obviously, he doesn't look as fast as his teammate, but I mean, those cars do look good overall this week, basically in a Penske ride. What's up, Johnny? Would you go Hamlin, Buescher, Core Cash on FanDuel, or Truex and Gibbs? Thank you again. I'd almost rather say Truex and Gibbs there. I mean, Buescher is probably going to be higher owned than Ty Gibbs, but we get the extra spots with Truex there, and I kind of lean the second one. Tough decision. Who do I like for value on DraftKings today? I got a lot of options. For me, like below $7,000, I like McDowell, Gilliland, Hocevar, Cindric's kind of up there. And then if you need an absolute punt, Zane Smith. Kywin? I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce it. To McDowell or not to McDowell? I think McDowelling today is perfectly fine at his price point. Like if you're playing 100 lineups, I'd probably have him like 30 to 40. So like 30 to 40% owned is what I'd have for my personal exposure, which I think he probably lands in there somewhere. Because honestly, I don't know what to do with him. Like, is he going to lead stage one? Is Blaney going to get him off the rip? Or is Bell or is Cindric maybe? I don't know. And then does he just fade back because he's not in clean air? I'm not 100% sure how that's going to play out. Like I said, I have him leading like 15 laps and finishing around 11th, which is still fine at his price point, but not guaranteed. Good luck to you as well, Michael. We still got about an hour and 40, hour and a half to lock. Something like that. Rick says, any thoughts on Buescher today, CP? Yeah, I like Buescher. I think I like him better on FanDuel today. He's still a fun DraftKings play. I don't think you absolutely have to jam him in, but the floor is obviously nice starting in 26. I have him projected to finish close to the top 15. I kind of factored in qualifying a bit today because obviously track position is going to be important, so it's a little bit lower because of that, but I do think there's upside for him to finish in the top 12, more so on the higher end. Gab says that's exactly how I found NASCAR. Thanks, Fauci. Hey, if you guys are into NASCAR, I guess that's all that matters, right? Elliott versus Bell prop bet. I mean, if it's even money, I would take Bell, but I highly doubt it is. Probably be extremely heavily favored in Bell's favor. Bell's plus 850 to win, and then you can get Chase Elliott at plus 3,000. So I'd have to see the odds on that because there's a point to where it's just not worth it. But I play Barry and Chastain together on FanDuel. No problem with that. I think Ross is in a perfect FanDuel play where you're obviously not expecting him to dominate, but he can sneak into that top 10 at his price point. What's up, Pugsley? Hamlin, Bell, Logano, Bubba Wallace, Gillen, and Hemrick and Turney. Obviously, I don't have much interest in Bubba today. I don't have really any interest in Daniel Hemrick, so it'll keep you different, and I don't think anyone else is going to have that. Robert says outright, my bad. I figured it out. I was just confused at first. Like, am I missing a joke here or what? Brandon asked, do I like Briscoe or Gregson? Is Briscoe decent at these track types? Briscoe is really good at short, flat tracks. Although with this being intermediate, it kind of throws in a wrench of things because he just doesn't run that well with them. I don't personally like Briscoe today. What we saw in practice was 30th, 28th, 27th, and that's worse than where he qualified. I think he just kind of sits around 23rd to 25th most of the day. So I don't like him that much, but if I had to pick between him and Gregson, I'll take Gregson. He showed better speed in practice and should be able to contend for a top 20. But I do think Barry is the lowest owned. Or I'm sorry, not the lowest owned. The my favorite of the bunch there. Definitely won't be the lowest owned. Bubba Hemrick or Barry Carson? I'd go with Barry and Carson there. That projects better for me. What's up, Rick? What are your thoughts on Bush, Hamlin, Logano, McDowell, Suarez, Barry for $4 Chrome Horn on DraftKings? I don't have a problem with that. Hamlin, McDowell's potential dominators, Bush, Logano, kind of those hybrid plays, Suarez and Barry. Nothing wrong with it. Willie Dom is 4% owned in single entry. They put him back in the lineup, right? Or I know they changed their lineup and he wasn't in at first. Did they put him back in? I don't know. I was scrambling before long. But hope it works out for you. Bubba or Barry, last driver in for DraftKings. I have Barry higher, about 5 points. Joe Gray has hit the All-Star main lobby on DraftKings. It's time to do it again. Appreciate your videos. Very helpful. That's awesome. Hopefully you keep the good times rolling. And I appreciate it. Brent says he did a lineup with Byron and a lineup with Bell. Yeah, I'd prefer the Bell side, but we'll see. Just the Hendrick cars really just lacked overall. Although Byron did have some of the better times with the Hendrick cars at least. Mike says, he can't play Bell. I wasn't invited to the wedding, not going to the funeral. It's funny. On paper, Bell looks like a good play. We'll see though. Bell is one of the most annoying guys. The guys that I feel like are impossible to get right in NASCAR are Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace. Reddick's a tough one too. And then I like the main guys there. They're so hard. Truex is also really hard to get right. Like Truex, I mean, he can absolutely destroy a field, but man, he does it when no one wants to play him usually. So he's a weird one. DL says, Cindric and McDowell for cash. Also let Tito know if I played Truex in the 333 and the 121. I know you're joking, but I actually think McDowell is somewhat viable for cash games on DraftKings. But yeah, definitely not together. I'll let Tito know, but I should warn the chat that if DL is playing Truex, we probably should not. Because he just has a voodoo on him for some reason. Which is a shame, because I do like Truex. But DL doesn't have a very good history with him at all. But you appreciate the dono. Liederman says, hi Chris, any thoughts on Bush? Not finding myself getting the Bush too much. I got him projected for around 37 points. I just don't see him being a dominator. Probably finishes around where he starts. And nearly $9,000. He's just one of those plays. Like good track history, yes, but hard to imagine him getting up front. Hello, Miss Jules. Happy race day, everyone. Hopefully it's a good one. Better than last week, hopefully. Good luck to you as well, Stan. What's up, Timothy? No worries. Says, but cash leans, would you go Stenhouse or Truex? That's not a 1v1 question. I'm assuming you just mean would I play them in cash? I would not play Stenhouse in cash. I really don't think you need to play Truex in cash either at his price point. On FanDuel, maybe. But cash leans on DraftKings. I think McDowell's fine in cash. I like Blaney. I like Logano. And Josh Berry is one of those guys that was popping up for me that are cheaper. Decent starting point right there. Don't ask if Hamlin, Blaney, Gregson, Gilly, Barry, and McDowell for 3 max. Try again, or thank you again. Well, you got 2 Doms up top. Yeah, McDowell is also possible. Not possible. He probably will, just a matter of how much. Then Gilly and Barry, I think that's good. I like your lineup so far, Dwayne. From what I've seen so far, I've liked each one. Is Tito here? I think Tito's actually working. Which to most is probably a surprise, but I think he is working today. Ryan says, hey Chris, who were the 2 to 3 must-play Doms, the mid-range PD plays, and the decent scrubs this week? Thank you, Tyler Reddick, for the win. We'll see. 2-3 must-play downs for me up top are Blaney, Bell, and Hamlin. That's just the most likely scenario. Mid-range plays for me, Joey Logano, Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, Chastain, Suarez, Josh Berry, McDowell, who's the ones littering my lineups. And then if you're going absolutely cheap, I would say Carson Hocevar, Todd Gilliland. Some of the guys that are popping for me. Would you play Bubba and Reddick in the same lineup? You can. I'm not really going my way to do it. I think Reddick has the better ceiling overall. What were thoughts on Gilliland? I think Gilliland's probably a guy that can likely gain 10 spots. Find cheap PD play, like safe for cash games, I would say. Do I like Bell and FanDuel? I do like Bell and FanDuel. He's basically the same play as Blaney. Although I have Blaney just a little bit higher than him, so ownership-wise, the big dogs on FanDuel for me are probably going to end up being Blaney, Hamlin, Barry, probably. I'll go there. Quick Shade says, best contest over there. The Chrome Horn is hard. It's obviously fun, the 20 max. But honestly, just single entries and 3 maxes with like lower entries fields. Because I know it's always fun to play like the main contests that pay out $100,000, but I'm not saying you can't win it. Obviously, people here have won it before, but it's just unlikely that you do. So I like to stick to those smaller fields. Like if I'm playing baseball sometimes with contests like that. If there's like a $25 with 300 people in it, then there's a $25 with 40 people in it. Obviously, the payout's less, but I'd rather play the one with 40 people in it. Because you can get away with more things. Like if you have a guy or two suck, like it's fine because probably everyone else does too. You just don't have to be perfect in those. So I would like 3 maxes, smaller fields like that. You know, there's a $20 3 max. There's Rainbow Warrior, which I think is a decent contest. Money Stop. It's just personal preference, really. Dwayne says Peralta already gave a run. Oh, of course he did. I have him and Charlie Morton today. So we'll see how that goes. Bob tweeted no cars to the rear. Good news, makes our life easier. Don't have to update anything. Yeah, appreciate your time, Rick. I'll be in the Discord with you. Got about an hour to build, so not too bad. Usually we have less time. Hamlin, Zane, or Buescher, Berry for DraftKings cash? Probably Buescher and Berry there, assuming we already have other guys that can potentially lead. Good luck to you as well, Dwayne. I'm here for some Denny. And he says I kind of like Logano on FanDuel. I think Logano might end up being like the highest home play on FanDuel, to be honest. At $9,000, he's just so cheap. He's top 4 in odds. And obviously, best in practice. So yeah, I mean, I love him on FanDuel too. He's like the perfect FanDuel play because you don't need him to dominate or anything. Because when the stock goes up, the stock crashes down. Quite possible. I'm not sure who we're in reference to, but let's see. Dwayne says, how much is your Discord? Well, it depends like what you want. Like, if you want like the content, it's $25. But if you just want Discord, it's $10. So. Brandon says Hamlin, Gilly, Zane, or Chastain, Barry, Gregson for DraftKings cash. Ooh, DraftKings cash. Tough. I mean, I like the second one better. I guess it would depend what the rest of my lineup looks like, because if Hamlin is like a focal point where you don't have any other dominators, like then yes. But if you go Chastain, Barry, Gregson, you already have like a Blaney and a Joey. Think they can work out? I guess I'd really have to see the first one. How do you feel about Cindric for GBP? I'm not getting there a lot. I mean, I have him around optimal 20% of the time. I think that's kind of right around where his ownership's going to be, so I wouldn't say he's like a amazing GBP play. I do McDowell protect the better, obviously. I think Elliott's probably just a little bit too expensive this weekend for my likeness. If I'm playing him, it'd be over on FanDuel, but he's $9,000. He practiced very poorly. Looks like he's got about a 15th place car for me. That's 32 points. It just doesn't really get the job done at $9,000. Harry wants to know if Haley can move up a few spots for my dream chasing. We've seen him do it this year, but I don't think he's really going to move up much at all. I gave Haley a 24th place finish. I actually have him losing a few spots. Who are the highest owned drivers? I think it'll be Logano. I think Blaney will be up there. Probably McDowell and Busher will be high as well. Appreciate the Dono Pugsley. There's Halen, Blaney, Gibbs, Barry, McDowell. Ooh, I don't think I could. Let me see where I'm projected again. Oh, Justin Haley, not Cody. I was thinking Cody Ware 15, not 51. I mean, Haley is like, it's kind of gross as your last fit, but the rest of the build looks great. I don't think 2 front loaded is a bad thing today anyway. I mean, track position should be pretty important. Unless this field gets just flipped around a bunch of times, I think the guys up front are where you're going to want to be mainly anyway. The stock on Hamlin Bell. Well, Denny just has had like pretty much the best car almost every race this year. I don't know. Bell would be most likely to crash out. I would not like crash in this race, but like his stock to drop. But Hamlin's just been so consistent this year. Tesh says, how can Harrison Burton have such a long leash given basically an unofficial Penske car and literally sucks? Well, the 21 car is definitely not what it used to be, but I agree Harrison Burton is just not very good. Although I'm pretty sure Bob did tweet that he is going to be out at the end of the year. So they'll have an open ride there, which thank goodness. I don't know anything about Harrison. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I mean, on the track, it's just not working out. Balance to a degree. I mean, I don't want 3 10K drivers in my lineups. I think 2 is fine. So if you want to get like 1 cheap driver, that's fine. I don't think you really need 2 like 5K drivers in your builds though. I don't personally like Eric Jones today. Just was one of the absolute worst cars in practice. Qualified 22nd. Just think it's likely he moves back a little bit. Timothy says he's leaning McDowell for cash, leaves me with potentially Gibbs. Bush is last man. Safety-wise, it's probably Bush, right? No, Gibbs had better speed in practice. He starts one spot further up, so I'd say probably Ty Gibbs there. Bill wants to know Blaney, Bell, Logano, Barry, Gillen, Hocevar. Like the 2 Doms, you got Logano, Barry, Gillen, Hocevar. That's a good lineup. Like everything about it. Can we work with Larson and Blaney in the same line? I mean, you can. I'm not really playing Larson today. Like everything on paper says to not play Larson, so I can't play everybody up there. So I'm personally not going to do it, but you can easily fit it. Like I know you can easily fit in Blaney, Hamlin, and Larson's cheaper than Hamlin. But I think I caught up to the chat. There's a couple more questions. I'll answer those. And then I got to get out of here and build. He gives Barry or Logano and Gilly by how much? Pretty sure that's going to be Joey and Gilly there. Because I only have Gillen projected for like 7 to 10 points less than Barry. And then I got Joey by like 10 points on Gibbs, something like that. Or no, 5 points. Very close, although for me personally, I'm going to lean the Joey one. All right, they got to the chat. I don't know where we're at next week. I think it's a road course, maybe Sonoma. That'll be boring, but I do love road courses for DFS and betting purposes. That'll be fun, but yeah. Race today, kind of hoping it's boring. We'll see what happens. But that's all I got. I wish you all the best of luck this weekend.